Have you ever felt like a true prisoner dieting? That feeling that you're doing everything right, but the results never come? I see many people who arrive at my office completely devastated. People who cut out eggs, stopped eating red meat, eliminated cheese and butter from their lives. And even so, when the blood test results come back, cholesterol is still sky high, as if they have been eating bacon for breakfast every single day. It's frustrating, I know. But the truth that almost no one tells you is that 80% of the cholesterol circulating in your blood does not come from what you put on your plate, but from what your liver manufactures. That's exactly what you heard. Your liver is the largest chemical factory in your body and produces cholesterol 24 hours a day because your brain and your hormones need it to survive. If your internal factory is clogged, inflamed, or working incorrectly because of a signaling error, starving yourself or living on lettuce won't fix the problem. Your cholesterol will stay high. The issue isn't the passenger, which is cholesterol, but the management of the factory. Today, I'm going to show you how to reset your liver and make it go back to burning fat instead of flooding your arteries with it. Hello, I'm Dr. Harrison Blake. I'm a medical specialist, and in my 15 years of clinical practice, I've seen thousands of patients regain their freedom and their health when they stopped fighting the numbers and started treating the real cause. If you truly want to understand your body, you're in the right place. Go ahead and click like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. I want to clean my liver. That helps this content reach people who are still living in fear of food. Imagine that your liver is a logistics director of a massive e-commerce company like Amazon. It's not just an organ that filters your blood. It's the intelligence center that decides everything that goes in and out of your body's energy inventory. The cholesterol measured in your lab results is actually a precious cargo. It is used to manufacture your sex hormones, such as testosterone and estrogen, to produce vitamin D that protects your immune system, and to keep your brain functioning properly. Because it is so important, your body doesn't rely on the luck of you eating cholesterol at lunch. It prefers to manufacture its own. This internal production, which we call endogenous synthesis, happens through a biochemical assembly line controlled by an enzyme called HMG-CoA reductase. Your liver monitors the bloodstream 24 hours a day. It has thousands of sensors on its surface that function like satellite antennas. These antennas, the LDL receptors, are responsible for collecting the trash from the streets. When cholesterol levels in the blood rise, these antennas should capture the LDL particles, bring them back inside the factory, and tell the director, "Boss, street inventory is high. You can reduce internal production." It's a perfect feedback system. But in 15 years of medicine, what I see most often is this communication system failing. Imagine that the factory director, your liver, is locked in a dark room without access to computers that show inventory levels. He keeps ordering workers to manufacture cholesterol nonstop, thinking the body is running low, while outside the bloodstream is already saturated. The result? Cholesterol rises, oxidizes in the arteries, and increases the risk of heart attack. The problem here isn't that the liver is bad or genetically flawed. The problem is that the communication between the blood and the organ has been cut off. Why does the body prefer to manufacture cholesterol instead of simply absorbing it? Simple. Survival. Throughout human evolution, cholesterol was rare in the diet. The liver learned to become a master manufacturer to ensure that the raw material for your neurons would never run out. Today we live in a world of abundance, but your liver's biology still behaves as if it were living in the African savanna. If your liver doesn't receive the signal that says that's enough, it will keep producing. Understanding this logistic system of supply and demand is the first step towards stopping the fight with your blood test results and starting a conversation with your metabolism. If we want to lower cholesterol, it's not enough to simply attack production with medications that block the factory. We need to give the director access to the sensors again so he can intelligently decide when to stop production. Now imagine that the command center of your liver, where those antennas that capture cholesterol from the blood are located, is covered with a thick layer of mud and debris. That is exactly what happens when we develop fatty liver disease, also known as hepatic steatosis. This is one of the biggest dramas of modern health, and the number one reason why cholesterol tests refuse to improve no matter what people do. When your liver begins storing fat inside its own cells, it develops something like metabolic blindness. The antennas that should read LDL levels in the blood become buried under this internal fat and stop working. The result? The liver loses track of what's happening outside and continues manufacturing cholesterol endlessly. But where does this fat come from? Here's the surprising truth. It does not come from eating fat. The biggest villain behind this clogging process is excess sugar and refined carbohydrates, especially fructose. Unlike glucose, which your muscles can burn when you walk, fructose must be processed almost exclusively by the liver. It's as if the liver were the only organ capable of cleaning up sugar from the system. When you overconsume sodas, boxed juices, sweets, and even excessive white flour, your liver becomes overwhelmed. It cannot burn all that energy, and for survival reasons, it converts the excess directly into fat inside itself. This process is called de novo lipogenesis. It's the liver manufacturing fat from sugar. That fat acts like debris on the production line. Feeling suffocated and out of space, the liver tries to get rid of the weight by shipping packages of fat into the bloodstream in the form of VLDL. Here's where things get serious. VLDL is the precursor to LDL. The more your liver tries to clean house by exporting fat into the blood, the more cholesterol particles end up circulating. In other words, your high cholesterol is actually a symptom of a liver desperately trying to clear inventory because it has been flooded with sugar and starch. Additionally, a fatty liver is an inflamed liver. This constant inflammation makes the blood more irritated and prone to forming clots. In my 15 years of practice, I learned that you cannot treat cholesterol while ignoring a patient's ultrasound results. If your liver appears bright on imaging, a sign of fat accumulation, the focus should not simply be lowering LDL with medications that hide the problem. The focus must be unclogging the factory. When we remove that internal fat, the antennas reappear on the surface of the liver cells. The liver regains its vision, and suddenly it realizes, wait a minute, we already have enough cholesterol in the bloodstream. Stop the machines. Treating fatty liver is about restoring sensitivity to the conductor without solving this physical blockage. You will always be trying to mop the floor while the faucet is still running. High cholesterol is not a manufacturing defect. It is a result of a logistics system that collapsed because the factory is full of debris. Understanding this is liberating, because it shows that the solution is not eating fewer eggs, but rather stopping the flood of the wrong fuel that makes your liver blind and fatty. If fatty liver is a hardware problem, hepatic insulin resistance is a software error. In my 15 years of medical practice, I have seen that this is exactly where most treatments fail, because people try to lower cholesterol without fixing the body's electrical signal. Insulin is a hormone that tells your body what to do with energy. In the liver, it plays a fundamental role. It should be the signal to stop producing sugar and fat. However, when you bombard your system all day with bread, pasta, tapioca, juices, and sweets, the insulin receptors in your liver begin to go deaf. It's like shouting at someone for so long that eventually the person simply stops listening. Here's where a phenomenon called selective resistance occurs, and this is where the danger lies. Your liver stops listening to insulin when it comes to controlling blood sugar, and here's the big problem, it continues listening to insulin when it comes to producing fat and cholesterol. This creates the worst possible scenario. Your liver sees high levels of insulin circulating and interprets that as a direct command to turn production machines to maximum power. Even if you don't eat a single drop of fat, your liver is working overtime to convert sugar in your blood into cholesterol and triglycerides. This deregulation turns your liver into an uncontrolled VLDL production machine. And as we discussed earlier, VLDL is the great-grandfather of LDL cholesterol. When insulin levels are high in the liver, it activates the enzyme HMG-CoA reductase. Do you know what statin drugs do? They try to block exactly this enzyme. But think about the logic. High insulin is the finger pressing the button that activates this enzyme nonstop. As long as you have elevated insulin levels due to a diet rich in refined carbohydrates and a lack of movement, your liver will remain under biological orders to flood your bloodstream with cholesterol, no matter how many medications you take. In addition, insulin resistance changes the quality of the cholesterol your liver produces. Instead of creating large, fluffy LDL particles that circulate harmlessly, an insulin-resistant liver produces small, dense LDL particles. These are the dangerous ones because they easily penetrate the arterial wall and oxidize quickly. That's why many skinny fat individuals have terrible cholesterol numbers. On the outside, they appear healthy, but internally their liver is suffering from this hormonal short circuit. In my 15 years of medicine, I learned that to truly lower cholesterol, we must clear the liver's ears so it can hear insulin again. When that sensitivity is restored, the stop production signal becomes audible once more. The liver stops exporting unnecessary fat, and LDL particles return to a safer size. Your high cholesterol is actually a cry for help from a liver that is confused by too many mixed signals. Fixing insulin resistance restores peace to the control panel of your internal factory. To unclog your liver and truly lower your cholesterol, you need to understand how the body takes the trash out. The drain of cholesterol in your body is called bile. Bile is a fluid produced by the liver that serves two purposes: helping you digest the fats you eat, and more importantly, acting as a garbage truck that carries excess cholesterol out of the body. When your liver wants to eliminate extra cholesterol, it converts it into bile salts and sends it to the intestine to be eliminated in the stool. The problem is that in a fatty, inflamed liver, bile becomes thick and sluggish, as if the drain were clogged with old grease. The first step of our cleansing protocol is strategic fasting. Your liver only begins burning the fat stored inside it when insulin levels fall. As long as you're snacking all day, the store energy signal remains active. When you create a 14 or 16-hour fasting window, you give your liver the opportunity to stop processing incoming fuel and begin cleaning up what has already accumulated. During this period, the organ activates autophagy, a cellular cleaning process where it consumes the fat droplets that were blinding its LDL antennas. This is the first step for the factory director to see the street inventory again. The second step involves bitter vegetables. The bitter taste in arugula, watercress, artichokes, or dandelion greens is pure medicine for your liver. These bitter compounds stimulate the production of thinner, more efficient bile. It's like pouring a powerful detergent down the drain to dissolve accumulated grease. When bile flow increases, the liver can ship excess cholesterol into the intestine much more easily. However, there's a secret most people don't know. The body is so economical that it tries to reabsorb about 95% of bile at the end of the intestine. If bile returns to the liver, cholesterol returns with it. To prevent that waste from returning to the factory, we need soluble fiber. Psyllium, oats, flaxseed, and the fibers in vegetables act like a net that traps bile and cholesterol in the intestine, forcing them to leave the body in the stool. When your liver notices that bile did not return, it goes into alert mode. We need more bile. And where does it get the raw material to produce new bile? From the LDL circulating in your bloodstream. It's a mechanical and natural way to force your liver to clean your arteries. Finally, do not ignore the power of lemon water on an empty stomach. Lemon helps stimulate liver detoxification enzymes, and proper hydration keeps bile fluid. Remember, an unclogged liver is a liver that can sense cholesterol again and stop producing it excessively. Many times the liver has been so worn down by years of sugar excess and inflammation that it needs a little extra help. That's where what I call elite nutrients come in. The first, and perhaps the most important for fatty liver, is choline. Remember when I said many people make the mistake of cutting eggs from their diet? The egg yolk is actually one of the richest sources of choline available. Choline functions like a moving truck for the liver. Without it, the liver cannot efficiently export fat out of its cells. Choline is essential for building the packages that transport fat and cholesterol through the bloodstream. When you lack choline, fat becomes trapped inside the liver, the organ becomes clogged, and cholesterol rises. Another powerful ally is silymarin, an extract from milk thistle. It acts like a protective shield for liver cells. It helps stabilize the cell membranes of the liver, preventing toxins from entering and causing further damage. It also stimulates protein synthesis, helping the liver regenerate. But if there is one true master of detoxification, it is glutathione. The best way to increase glutathione levels is through NAC and acetylcysteine. Processing cholesterol and burning fat generates a large amount of chemical waste, free radicals. If the liver does not have an efficient cleaning system, this waste damages the internal machinery. NAC ensures that your liver has enough glutathione to neutralize this oxidative stress. Finally, we have alpha-lipoic acid, a powerful antioxidant that helps improve insulin sensitivity and encourages the liver to burn sugar more efficiently. Understand something very important. Supplement alone will not perform miracles if you continue flooding the factory with soda and processed oils. But when you combine proper habits, fasting, fiber, and bitter vegetables, with these supportive nutrients, liver recovery and cholesterol reduction can happen at a speed that almost feels magical. Your liver wants to heal. These nutrients simply provide the tools the master craftsman needs to finish the job. We've reached the end of this lesson, and the message I want you to take into your daily life is simple. Stop fearing food and start caring for your factory. In 15 years of medicine, I've learned that high cholesterol is not a mistake by your body or bad genetic luck. It is simply your liver trying to survive in an environment full of mixed signals and excess debris. Starting today, you are no longer a prisoner of a number on a lab report. You now understand that lowering cholesterol requires reducing liver inflammation, opening the bile drain, and restoring insulin communication. When the management is functioning properly, the inventory naturally adjusts itself. Your body is an incredible healing machine. It simply needs you to stop working against it and start giving it the right tools. I'm Dr. Harrison Blake, and my mission is to give you the freedom to live without fear. If this video opened your eyes, don't keep this information to yourself. Share it with that friend who stopped eating eggs out of fear. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. My factory is clean. I'll see you at the next level of health. See you in the next video.